Jinwoo's dungeon runs might look like a typical level-up story, but what if his greatest weapon isn't his power, it's his mind? His strategy is shockingly similar to the greatest military minds in history. You've seen him defeat monsters effortlessly. But today, we're uncovering the military tactics that turn his dungeon runs into high-stakes battles. From guerrilla warfare to Napoleon's deception, Jinwoo isn't just fighting, he's outsmarting them. Stay with me, and you'll see how these timeless strategies made Jinwoo the ultimate dungeon master, and how you can apply them to your own life. Jinwoo's dungeon runs aren't about brute strength. In fact, they're a textbook example of guerrilla warfare, where intelligence, tactics, and exploiting the environment play a far bigger role than raw power. Guerrilla warfare is all about using unconventional strategies to overwhelm a stronger opponent. Think about the Viet Cong in the Vietnam War. They didn't win by matching the US military's firepower. Instead, they used traps, ambushes, and rapid retreats to exhaust their enemy, making every victory come at a high cost for US troops. Jinwoo mirrors this perfectly. He doesn't charge in blindly. He uses the dungeon environment to his advantage, whether it's luring enemies into tight spaces, launching surprise strikes, or retreating when needed. He wears down stronger foes by making them fight on his terms. Just like in the Red Gate arc, Jinwoo didn't charge at the Ice Elves. He used narrow tunnels, stealth, and ambushes to take them out one by one. That wasn't brute force, that was battlefield strategy. Every step of his dungeon run is carefully calculated to tip the odds in his favor. In your life, guerrilla tactics mean using your environment, your knowledge, and even your vulnerabilities as weapons. When you're outnumbered, underpowered, or facing a daunting challenge, think like a guerrilla fighter. Use the terrain around you. Create moments of surprise. The goal isn't brute force, it's strategy. But here's the real secret to Jinwoo's success. It's not just the environment or the element of surprise. What if I told you his real power lies in something even more potent? Deception. Jinwoo's greatest weapon isn't his strength, it's his mastery of deception. Much like Napoleon Bonaparte, who was known for deceiving his enemies into making fatal mistakes, Jinwoo manipulates his foes by creating false expectations and using their overconfidence against them. Take the Battle of Austerlitz, one of Napoleon's most brilliant victories. He pretended to be weak, luring the enemy into overcommitting. The moment they spread themselves too thin, Napoleon struck decisively, shattering their forces. Jinwoo does the exact same thing. He feigns vulnerability, leading dungeon bosses to underestimate him. Then, he springs the trap when they least expect it. Remember the Demon Castle? Against Baruka, Jinwoo looked like he was struggling, until he unleashed stronger shadows and turned the entire fight upside down. The boss never saw it coming. In life, deception isn't about lying. It's about creating a false sense of security. Whether in business, negotiations, or relationships, making others feel like they're in control, only to strike when the timing is perfect, can give you the upper hand. Be patient, act vulnerable, and wait for your moment. But deception alone doesn't guarantee victory. Jinwoo doesn't stop there. He combines it with something even more powerful: psychological mastery, a skill that even the greatest tacticians, like Napoleon, struggled to master. Jinwoo's dungeon approach isn't just about brute force or surprise. It's rooted in the timeless principles of the art of war by Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu's famous maxim, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting," is exactly what Jinwoo embodies in every dungeon run. Sun Tzu taught that true victory isn't about direct confrontation. It's about weakening the enemy before the battle even begins. Think of the Battle of Red Cliffs. Sun Tzu used deception, psychological manipulation, and the terrain itself to wear down his enemies long before the first blow was ever struck. Jinwoo does the same. He carefully manipulates dungeon conditions, sets up deadly traps, and confuses his enemies before they even know a battle has begun. In the Jeju Island raid, Jinwoo didn't dive in headfirst. He waited, studied the chaos, then struck when morale was lowest, shattering the ant forces with one move. That's textbook Sun Tzu. In your life, this means you don't need to confront every challenge head-on. Sometimes the most powerful move is to observe, plan, and wait. Create opportunities. Don't chase them. Strategy means using your mind, not just your strength. But here's the real game changer. While Jinwoo's control of the battlefield and deceptive tactics are powerful, there's one weapon he wields that changes everything: his mastery of psychological warfare. Jinwoo's greatest strength isn't just his combat skills or his strategic brilliance, it's his mastery of psychological warfare. Like the greatest tacticians in history, Napoleon, Sun Tzu, Jinwoo understands that mental dominance often decides the outcome before the battle even begins. Napoleon, for example, understood the power of morale. He didn't just fight, he made his enemies doubt themselves. He used fear, misinformation, and overwhelming presence to crack the mind before the body. Jinwoo does the same. He instills fear, strikes with surprise, and builds a reputation so intimidating. His enemies are already shaken before the fight even starts. After crushing the beast monarch, Jinwoo stood alone against 3 monarchs and they hesitated. That pause, that was fear. He broke their will without a single word. Even America's strongest hunter, Thomas Andre, surrendered, not in defeat, but in realization. He knew. He was completely outmatched. In your life, mastering psychological warfare means more than just confidence. It's about staying calm under pressure, reading emotions, and controlling the narrative. In business, relationships, or even everyday decisions, your mind is your edge. But here's the real kicker. Jinwoo doesn't just rely on brute force or even clever tricks. He wields something even more elusive. A psychological tactic so subtle, so devastating, it leaves his enemies questioning their every move. This is what makes Jinwoo truly unstoppable. Jinwoo's greatest strength isn't just his power to defeat enemies, it's his mind. He's a master of psychological warfare, deception, and strategy, drawing from the genius of history's greatest military minds. He doesn't just conquer dungeons. He evolves and grows stronger with each victory. If you thought Jinwoo's tactics were intense, wait until you see how the will of fire in Naruto backfired, creating enemies where there were none. Check out my video, Naruto's Will of Fire Backfired, how Konoha created its own enemies. You'll see how one of the series' most powerful ideals became its biggest flaw. Because here's the truth. Jinwoo isn't just fighting monsters. He's rewriting the rules of war. His mind is his deadliest weapon. So, let me ask you, are you ready to think like a strategist?